And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We are going live with the first live scenario of Arkham Horror, the card game. This is where my channel started, with a campaign of Arkham. I went through the Forgotten Age with Jenny Barnes, and then I think I did one-off the Murder at the Excelsior Hotel with Tony Morgan. So now I'm really excited to go to another campaign, go with a short one, going with the Return to the Night of the Zealot with Roland Banks, but not old Roland Banks, the Replacement Roland Banks. So let's get to the pro camera so we can see the mess that is in front of me. So this is the Dirge of Reason. It's one of the novellas that are part of the Arkham series. I think there are 6 novellas that have been published so far. The last one was the Dexter Drake one. They vary in quality. This is one of the better ones. I really kind of like the story, but really I like the variety that it adds to the game, with the 2 new unique cards for Roland, as well as his new investigator card. Now his investigator card is exactly the same other than the artwork. So we have this guy instead of the other Roland, but we're so used to seeing. The unique cards are interesting, in some ways more forgiving, in some ways more punishing, and in some ways more useful, at least with the insight card that he has. So instead of having Roland's good old trusty guns, which you never wanted to play because they cost so freaking much and only gave you +1 combat, now we have Mysteries Remain. It's an insight card. It's an event. It costs 0. It's fast. Play only during your turn. Either place 1 clue from the token bank on your location or discover 1 clue at your location. Obviously, you will normally be using this to discover a clue at your location. It does combo with some other cards. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it does come with some other cards that you might want to actually put a clue down to enhance some other abilities. And then it's removed from the game. So you can only use this once a game and then it's out. The weakness, in some ways I like it better than Cover Up. I find Cover Up is really punishing, losing experience, especially in a solo game. It can be really rough. Hey, what's up, Dave? So, you know, you really want to try to mitigate the issue that the Cover Up can cause. The Dirge of Reason, again, in some ways better, some ways worse. So when it comes out of your deck, the revelation is that you have to place 2 of your clues on your location. And if you can't, you place all your clues, so obviously it'd be 1 or 0 on your location, and then you have to shuffle this back into your deck after taking a horror. And then if you have, I mean, this can really destroy a scenario. I mean, if it comes out 3-4 times, if you just get unlucky with your card shuffles, that could be pretty rough. But so I do like this a little bit better than Cover Up. And of course, if you have 2 clues, you put them on your location, and now you have to get them back. If there's a lot of monsters and enemies, that's not that big of a deal, because Roland's special ability is awesome in just hoovering up a clue every time he kills an enemy. And the Return to definitely gives you ample opportunity to kill some enemies, that is for sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I constructed this deck. I did draw from cards from all of the campaigns. I have 10 assets, 4 weapons. I have the Something Worth Fighting For, which is a Circle Undone card, a nice little horror soak. Obviously, the 5 sanity for Roland can be a big issue. The Survival Knife is a Forgotten Age card, can give you a nice little extra attack in the middle of the enemy phase if you actually take some damage. Enchanted Blade is the dual class card. Dual class cards came out in the Circle Undone campaign, so it's Guardian and Mystic, and it does take up a Arcane slot as well, but you're Roland Banks. You don't really need your arcane slots for much else, right? I just got a normal knife, and then we have our 45 automatic to go along with that. I got 2 allies. I have the Guard Dog and the Bead Cop. Ideally, the Guard Dog comes out first. You use him for all of that, you know, passive attack and damage, and then when he's dead, you can put the Bead Cop in, get the static bump to your combat when you really need it at the end of this scenario. Fine Clothes, I take as much for its parlay ability. In some ways I take it more for the idea that it's a soak for a damage and a horror, as well as it's a cheap asset. So if you get one of those treacheries that make you discard an asset, it's nice to have a cheap asset lying around that you're not that attached to. So that is that. The other assets I have is I have a flashlight and I have a hollowed mirror. Flashlight's less important, especially in this scenario, especially with so many enemies, and hopefully you're triggering that after you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location once per round thing, pretty much every round, hopefully. So you don't really have to worry about the flashlight and the boost it gives you. So if I get two weapons and flashlight in my opening hand, I'm probably going to put the 2 weapons in play and forget about the flashlight. Hollowed Mirror is a nice little horror healer. It takes up the accessory slot, which you're not using for much else anyway. So you get that out, and it has bonded cards. So if we put that in play, I'll go through bonded for those of you who might not have seen this. Again, this comes out in the Circle Undone expansion. I think they just started playing with bonded cards at the end of Forgotten Age. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like the last Mythos pack in Forgotten Age had a couple of bonded cards, and then they really kind of went deeper into that mechanic in the Circle Undone. One of the weird things about this deck is that I put 11 skill cards in it. That's a lot. I find them really helpful for Roland, especially when it comes to trying to mitigate the chance that that willpower tests are going to destroy me, right? I only have 5 sanity, so 3 as a starting willpower. I mean, Roland's stats are, again, 3 for willpower, 4 for intellect, 4 for combat, 2 for agility. 3 is workable, but it can, you know, you have a couple of bad draws and you get some of those treacheries. I mean, you really want to make sure you're able to bump up that willpower often. So Eureka gives me some willpower. I have 1 unexpected courage. I have 2 copies of guts. I have intrepid and take the initiative are all things that I can use to get some willpower, either because of the willpower icons or the wild icons as well. The events that I put in here are, I have a shortcut. I have, again, Roland only has access to Seeker cards or Guardian cards or dual color cards that fall into one of those categories, which is why I can take the Enchanted Blade, even though it has a Mystic icon. It also is a Guardian card. So I've cracked the case. It's kind of like a fast emergency catch if you get it in the right opportunity. On the Hunt is almost a must-add with Roland, because you're going to want to find an enemy that you can kill pretty easily to just get a clue, especially if you're set up for combat. Dynamite Blast is good. The upgraded one's better, but we might need this one, this scenario. It is a little expensive. So again, money is always an issue with the Guardian class. And then Scene of the Crime is a really nice Forgotten Age card that allows you just to get a clue without having to do a test at the beginning of your turn. My basic weakness, logical reasoning, again, another horror healer, and then I have a dodge in here as well. And then if it bleeds, there's so many monsters in the return to, if it bleeds can come in handy to heal some horror, because most of them do have a horror value. So my special weakness is actually from the return to Carcosa.
You got some funny chat going on.
No doubt. So the Unspeakable Oath, Bloodthirst, is a hidden card. It comes from the Return to Carcosa box. So again, I think the Return to Forgotten Age is just about to be shipped out. So there's 4 Return Tos that have been published so far. Again, I'll let everyone else determine whether it's worth the money from a value perspective. I really like them. I like the player cards. I like the levels of intricacy it adds, the possibilities for replayability that it adds to the different campaigns. So I'm a big fan. If you only wanted to buy one, I would say the most important one to get would be Return to Zealot, because it does make the Gathering a much more dynamic scenario than it is in the original. It also makes it a much more combat-focused scenario, though. So this is not a campaign. This is not a scenario I will normally true solo with like a Seeker. You really need at least a Rogue or a Survivor, but ideally you have a Guardian or a Mystic that can really take care of a number of monsters that come out at you. But Unspeakable Oath, what it is campaign mode only, so this is a campaign. Peril, Hidden, Revelation. Secretly add this card to your hand. Force when the game ends and you are eliminated. If this card is in your hand, you earn 2 fewer experience. Now, hidden cards, how do you get rid of them? Well, each hidden card is different. When you deal damage to an enemy in excess of its remaining health, you discard this card from your hand. Now, you could also get rid of it randomly. So when something says, hey, discard a random card from your hand, this is also valid to be discarded as long as it's random. I use die rolls to make sure my stuff's random, but that is one other way to get rid of it. You cannot voluntarily choose to discard a hidden card from your hand. So let me get this together. We'll shuffle it up. So real quick, well, first, some housekeeping. For those of you who are new to the solo playthroughs, live playthroughs, the chat is being moderated by the lovely Sarah, my wife. She is amazing. Be nice to her. We are streaming. I might have figured out how to stream at a higher resolution, but normally I've been streaming at 720, so I don't know, but we'll see. I'll take a look at that after. But I think I might have figured out another OBS thing.
Chat is a fan of the machete.
The machete. Where's the machete? Yeah, well, we are not using the machete because the machete, as per the taboo rules, the machete actually costs 2 XP in the normal. If you're using the taboo rules, that you can't add them in your starter deck. They actually cost XP. So that is why I don't have a machete. But yeah, the machete is funny because the machete was like an all the way up for so long, and now there's so many cool weapons that have come out. I actually prefer the enchanted blade to the machete. I think that +1 combat it gives you in addition. Again, it only has 3 charges, but hopefully I'll pull that out and we can see how that works out. All right, I did something fancy for y'all, so you're going to be happy with this. Gathering. Ding! Look what I did. All right, so we have the Gathering scenario card on the screen. So skulls are -X. X is the number of ghoul enemies at your location. Hopefully that's never more than 2. We might have a problem. Cultists are -1. If you foul, take 1 horror. And the tablets are -2. If there is a ghoul enemy at your location, take a damage. The return to. These expansions are nice in that they really spell out for you what changes you need to make to each scenario. So I'm not going to go through that entire setup process. But let's just say we've added 3 new locations in the very beginning part of this. Again, the original Return to the Night of the Zealot, the study was it. You got to get clues, then you got out of the study, ended up in the hallway. Now we have the study, then there's a guest hall, there's a bedroom, there's a bathroom. We need 3 clues to advance, and then things get bananas. So, and there's a variability in that there's a new attic and a new cellar, and you randomize whether you put the old attic in or the new one. And the same with the cellar, right? There are 2 new monsters that have victory points in the encounter deck, and then the old Ghouls set has been replaced by the Ghouls of Umhathoth. And then there's 2 more treacheries that are just thrown in for good measure. So the again, this is very monster heavy. I mean, just adding those 2 more to this encounter set, you're going to see some monsters and some ghouls. But when you're Roland and ghouls equal clues, it's not the worst thing ever. The Act card, Act 1, has been replaced with a new Act 1. And then we have our 16 tokens here. So it's a +1, 2 zeros, 3 -1s, 2 -2s, I believe, a -3, a -4, a tablet, a cultist, 2 skulls, an elder sign, and a auto lose, otherwise known as tentacles, otherwise known as the thing that I pull way more often than I ever should.
I will field this question, but if you just want to say hi to there's a new person, maybe tell
Hey, what's up, man?
Tell them how much you love this game.
I'm kind of a vet. I'm new to live playthroughs of it, but yeah, I've played this game a lot. I'm not saying I won't make a rules mistake, but it would be the exception, not the rule. So yeah, I really, really love this game. I've played it a ton. I have played The Gathering with probably every investigator up to and through the Dream Eaters campaign, and just getting pretty excited to, again, get another campaign on. That said, if you guys have any preferences, you can kind of let Sarah know as we go. I am considering kind of treating these as like one-offs as I go through this campaign, and that the next time I come back to Return to the Night of the Zealot, I'll be playing with Zoe, and then the 3rd time I'll come back, I'll play with Mark Harrigan, and I can play the rest of those campaigns off camera, but at least I can cycle through some more investigators. And then what I want to do next is do Dunwich and potentially cycle through all the Survivor class, because I think Survivors are so fun. I mean, some of the Survivor characters are by far my favorite. Calvin Wright, I love. Silas Marsh, I love. So I think that could be a really fun thing to do, and that we can see more investigators instead of just doing the same investigator week after week after week as we go. And I'll probably be doing these like every 3 weeks or so. I'm going to take my time with it. Again, there's so many other games that are kind of demanding time on my channel. All right, let me start, I think. Anything I didn't say? Probably not. All right, delay. For those who don't know, there is probably about a 25-second delay. So whatever you're seeing happened 25 seconds in the past. So we will get on the chat. Again, Sarah is going to be monitoring for me, but just know that there might be a delay. So by the time we get to it, what you said might not be relevant anymore, but we will do our best. It usually works out fairly well. I'm going to draw my opening hand. Again, opening hand, you draw 5 cards, and you are allowed to mulligan as many as you want. Any weaknesses drawn during this process are set aside and just treated like pieces of paper. Now, here's the thing about this scenario that is vicious. It attacks your hand like very few scenarios would ever dream of doing. So you are forced to discard cards left and right. So whatever you keep in your hand, don't get too attached to because you might lose it. So there does become like Dynamite Blast in some scenarios. I might hold on to it for the right moment, but this scenario it's a target, right? Because if I get the wrong card and I have to discard it, I'm obviously not playing it for a long time. It's 5 resources. It's not going to be really useful early, so I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to mulligan that. I'm going to mulligan the Intrepid. I'm going to mulligan Dodge. I will keep Flashlight because I do want a second asset. If for no other reason, I mean, it might be useful, it might not, but I really do want a second asset because I don't want to put my guard dog in play, then all of a sudden have to discard it. If I get Chilling Cold, I'm going to draw 3 more cards. I got my my unique asset from, or my unique event from like the Roland's, the signature card is what I'm looking for. I got a Vicious Blow and I got a Guts. So I'm starting with 2 assets, 2 skill cards, and my signature card. Not the worst, not the best. I would have really appreciated a weapon, but I only put 4 in my deck, so hopefully we will get to one of those soon enough. All right, what are we gonna do? Let's read through the agenda and the act. As was pointed out to be by Mr. Dave, who is on the chat tonight, this makes a book. It amazes me every time. All right, Agenda 1A. What's going on? I ask myself this question every day. All right, it is late at night. You are holed up in your study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. The doom threshold is 3. Act 1, Mysterious Gateway. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind a strange gateway to another part of your house. There must be a reason why this is happening. Objective: only investigators in the guest hall may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. We need 3 clues because it is 3 clues per investigator to advance. The study, I will try to read some of the flavor text. I won't read all of it. Could get a little tedious, but we'll see how often I remember to do this. So the study, Aberrant Gateway. You've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several months now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. Now you'll notice that the symbol in the middle of this location it's a black circle, which indicates that, again, these are all from the Return to set, as opposed to the original. All right, so we're in the study is where we start. It has a what's it called? The shroud value of 3, a clue value of 1 per investigator. It has a double action on it where you can draw 3 cards. Only the lead investigator can do that. Obviously, that would be me in a true solo game. And it says Forced. When an enemy attempts to spawn at a location that is not in play, put that location into play and spawn that enemy there. Now, normally when there's spawn instructions on an enemy and that location is not there and those spawn instructions cannot be carried out, the enemy is just discarded. No, not in Return to. In Return to the Gathering, that enemy is spawned. You put that location in play, and you will have to deal with it. But again, as Roland, I want the enemies in play. So not only for the clue ability, but also for the victory point potential, right? So the flavor text on this says, the door to your study has vanished, leaving in its wake a gateway to another part of your house. So what do I want to do? I'm gonna put the guard dog and the flashlight in play, and that's going to cost me a total of 5. That's my first 2 actions, and then I'm going to put 3 supplies on the flashlight. All right. Now with Roland, I try really hard not to investigate my last action, especially when I know there's a ton of enemies in the encounter deck, because I don't want to waste the action, right? Because if I pull an enemy, then I'll be able to get that clue for free. So there's no real point in in investigating now, even with the flashlight. So I'm just going to take a resource because I will always need resources, and I'm broke, and it's only the first turn. So let's do that. We're going to go to the enemy phase. There are no enemies. We can skip that. We go to the upkeep phase. I draw a card. It is Eureka. Love that card. And we will take a resource. Mythos phase, we're putting 1 Doom on the agenda. Again, the Doom threshold is 3. We're going to draw the top encounter card. It is Crypt Chill. This is why I put 2 assets in play. This stupid card. I mean, I have 2 really. I mean, I have Guts. The question is, do I just want to sacrifice? I'm tempted to sacrifice my flashlight, to be honest with you, because I don't want to be burning up Guts right now. I'm going to do it. I have this, so I can get that clue anyway. Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice my flashlight. It's crazy. I know. I'm testing a 3 to a 4. Maybe I'll get lucky. I have a 2 out of 16 chance of actually passing this. But what do I get? Being, oh, +1! That never happens. What just happened? All right, I know Rolo and Zach had to be cracking up because they know I never pull that crap. So that was amazing. So I'm going to keep my flashlight. As I said, that was the plan all along. I promise I don't have like drops of glue on that or anything like that for I can feel it. That was ridiculous. Cool. Now I don't have to do with myself. I'm just so thrown off. I think that's it. Thanks for joining Solo Playthroughs. I'm calling it a night. All right, let's move on. Wow. I'm going to use a flashlight. This is genuine shock, by the way. I am pulling my intellect is a 3. You know the rest. I'm going to pull the tentacles like 7 times. I'm doing a 3, which is my intellect value, to a 1 because the shroud value is 3. I spent the supply from the flashlight, so it reduced the shroud value down to a 1. So 3 to a 1. I pulled a -1. I get this clue. With my second action, I'm going to the guest hall. We reveal this. Now the guest hall says, somehow you've ended up in a completely different part of your house. What part of the house is it? All right. So the guest hall. How did you end up here? Some of this flavor text is hilarious. All right. Investigators at this location cannot take draw actions, so I can't draw cards from my deck. Now, that if I was here during the upkeep, that doesn't count for my upkeep draw. That's different, right? But I couldn't actually spend an action to draw a card, which is fine. But I have 1 more action magically, and I always want to be in a location that has a clue at the beginning of my turn in case I draw an enemy. So I am now in the bedroom. The bedroom says, a shadow dances across the floor beneath the bedroom door as you approach. And the bed sheets are tattered. The bed sheets, not sheets, I don't know what those are. Bed sheets are tattered, and a strange symbol is drawn on the fabric. Blood pools at the foot of the closet door, and you can hear something chewing inside. Oh, terrifying. We are going to end up there. The shroud value is 2. The clue value is 1. And there's a force ability after you fail the skill test while investigating the bedroom. Discard 1 card at random from your hand. That is that. We have no enemies. We go to the upkeep phase. We draw a card. I have some fine clothes. We take a resource. That gives us 3. We go to the Mythos phase. We put the second Doom on the agenda. We draw the second encounter card, and it is Frozen in Fear. Now, this is exactly why I did not want to burn Guts, because this Frozen in Fear card can be vicious. I don't think there's another treachery that has derailed more scenarios for me over the years than this stupid treachery right here. The way it just sucks your actions away can be really gross. So first action, let me get that clue first, and then we'll see what I want to do. So I'm going to spend a flashlight charge. So I have 1 supply left there. I definitely need, I still need a weapon. I have no weapons. Rolling without weapons is not much. So I'm doing a 3 to a 0. I pulled a 0, so 3 beats 0, and I get this clue. So now I have 2 clues. I'm going to put the fine clothes in play again as another cheap asset. That costs 1, and then a backup. It's going to be a soak as well. 1 horror and 1 damage can definitely come in handy. And then with my third action, I can't move, right? Because I'm stuck here. Because I need to. A movement would cost 2 actions. The first time I move, fight, or evade, each round it costs 1 additional action. So I can't move. So I'm just going to take a resource because resources are always good. Now, end of my turn, I'm going to test Frozen in Fear. I'm coming in with a 3. I'm going to commit Guts, and I'm going to commit Eureka. So I'm actually going to go all in on this to try to get some more cards, and hopefully Eureka will give me the ability to find one of my weapons, because that is a thing I am sorely lacking at this point in the game. All right, so I'm going to be testing at a 3 plus 2 because of Guts, plus 1 because of Eureka. I'm doing a 6 to a 3 to get rid of Frozen in Fear. The -4 right now would be rather gross. So I'm 14 out of 16 to win this, and I pulled a -2. So Frozen in Fear goes away. Because this test was successful, I draw a card because of Guts. I get Overpower. So that gives me 2 combat icons when I want it. Guts is discarded, and then Eureka says, if this skill test is successful, the investigator performing this test searches the top 3 cards of their deck. So I'm going to look at the top 3 cards. So I have the Dirge of Reason. Good to get that out of the way. Blah. None of these are great. Man, it's crazy. I'm tempted to actually draw the Dirge of Reason and just put those 2 clues back while I still have a flashlight and I won't have to worry about it. Is that crazy? Because this could come up at a really bad time later. I'd almost rather control that now, and I don't like either of the other 2 cards. This is either the dumbest thing I've ever done, or it's brilliant. I'm going to do it. I want to get rid of this. I'm putting those 2 clues back on my location, because I can get them back real quick. So the Dirge of Reason, Roland Banks deck only, replacement, place 2 of your clues on your location. If you cannot, place all your clues on your location, take 1 hard and shuffle back in. I want to again limit my variables that I can't control. I'm in a good spot to get those 2 clues right the heck back. So I might as well just do that. Yeah, someone's going to write a book about this one day, because that was really weird. So we are going to go to that was the end of the investigation phase when I tested Frozen in Fear. We go to the enemy phase. There are no enemies. Upkeep phase, we draw a card. It's Intrepid. We take a resource. Mythos phase, we're going to take the 3rd Doom onto the agenda, and that meets the Doom threshold. So we go to Agenda 1B. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide, choose 1. Each investigator discards 1 card at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. I have 3 skill cards in this event. I would rather not lose this, but I think it just makes sense to discard a random card from my hand. So I have 4 cards. I'm going to roll a 4-sided die. I rolled number 2, so Overpower goes bye-bye, which is fine. We go to Agenda 2. It says the floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. And the Doom threshold is 7. Pulling an encounter card, because again, that was all related to the checking the Doom threshold, and we get Rotting Remains. Not great. So I'm going to play Intrepid and see if I can't boost the rest of my stats for the rest of this round. So I'm doing a 4 to a 3. I think at -1, I think they're like 9 out of 16 to win in this scenario, which isn't awful. So let's see what I can pull. -1, I get -1. Cool. So I had a 4 because it was 3 plus the 1 because of Intrepid, and the test was a 3. That goes away. This goes back in the bag, and now Intrepid. If this skill test is successful, add Intrepid to your play area as an asset. This is a Forgotten Age card, and you get +1 intellect, +1 combat, and +1 agility till the end of the round, when you will be forced to discard it. Fine with me. So first action, I'm going to play that from the flashlight. So I'm doing a 3 to a 0. Man, I really want enemies to trigger my ability, but that's fine. So I get a 0, so I get this clue. Now my flashlight has no more charges. I can do a 4 to a 2. I'm sorry, it was actually a 4 to a 0 because of Intrepid. I'm going to do a 4 to a 2. You're kind of, I think it's like 13 out of 16. So there's a good odds. If I fail, I'm going to have to discard a card. So I'm being a little bit greedy here because I could just play the Mysteries Remain card, but I think this makes a little bit more sense. Let's take advantage of Intrepid while that's out. So a 4 to a 2, we get a 0 again. So we get this clue. So we get our 2 clues back. And then I'm going to move back to the guest hall. That was 3 actions, right? Investigate, investigate, move. Enemy phase, upkeep phase. We're going to draw a card. We're going to take a resource. At the end of the round, Intrepid gets discarded. We go to the Mythos phase. We're putting the first Doom on Agenda 2A. Grabbing an encounter card. It says, wow. The flashlight has no more supplies, so let's get rid of it.
Question from Zach.
Yo. No, I swear, I didn't. They're in... I did it. No, it was a joke. It's crazy. I don't know where they are, because this is a lot easier for me when I have enemies. Alright, so Crit Chill. I'm doing a 3 to a 4. I'm assuming I'm going to lose this time. I pulled a 0. I lost. Oh, no, I have to discard the flashlight. So the nice thing about the flashlight and other assorted, like the guns or like this, so anything that has supplies that's actually a physical object, you're allowed to keep it after the supplies are gone, and then you have to discard it. Now, a lot of things like spells, if there's no more supplies, sometimes it says like you have to auto discard it so that you can't actually use this. But think about a flashlight. A flashlight's out of juice. I still have it. It's just useless. So thematically, it makes sense that I can actually just discard that flashlight, and I keep my fine clothes on because no one wants to see me rip off my clothes anyway. That was the Mythos phase. I am now. Oh, it's so nice having Dirge of Reason out of my deck now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to move to the bathroom. It has a shroud value of 1 and a clue value of 1. If I pull a cultist tablet, so it says, actually, let me read the text. As you approach the bathroom door, the weight of the putrid, unnatural air causes you to gag. Beautiful. The guest bathroom looks as though it hasn't been cleaned in years. I mean, well, that might be true. A viscous green liquid fills the bathtub in the far corner of the room, and mold has grown across the walls. After you reveal a skull, cultist, tablet, or auto-lose symbol while investigating the bathroom, lose all remaining actions, and end your turn. It has a shroud value of 1 and a clue value of 1 per investigator. So I am doing a 3 to a 1 with my second action. If I reveal a symbol again, my turn is just over. So hopefully we can succeed at this. 3 to a 1. So it is the only symbol that not only do I not win, but I automatically end my turn. Beautiful. So I just lose an action and call it quits. Oh man, I better pull an enemy because this is getting absurd. Enemy phase is investigation phase is done because I lost the rest of my actions. Enemy phase comes and goes. Upkeep phase, we draw a card. I get a weapon. Look at me. We get a resource. I have built up 6 resources over here without any resource producing cards, so that's actually not bad. Mythos phase, we're putting the second Doom on the agenda. We're going to get the next encounter card. Is it an enemy? It is! Yes! All right, we have the Acolyte of Umhathoth. It is a humanoid, a monster, a ghoul. Its dreadful mask conceals the true horror beneath. Prey is fewest cards in hand, obviously irrelevant in a true solo game. It has, while engaged with an investigator with no cards in his or her hand, the Acolyte of Umhathoth cannot be evaded. I obviously have cards, and obviously I'm not going to be trying to evade this guy anyway. So he's got a 3. I have a Vicious Blow. I'm not excited about spending it right now, but I probably will. I wish I had my Survival Knife in play. Let's do this. I'm going to play Vicious Blow. If the skill test is successful during an attack, this attack deals +1 damage. I'm attacking with a 4 plus the 1 icon on the skill card. With a sickening smack, he struck the abomination over and over until at last it stopped moving. Hopefully this is true, because I am attacking with a 5, 2 at 3 for 2 damage, and I pulled a -3. Wow. That's really gross. Alright, so much for that plan. I got some options. I could actually take an attack of opportunity here, but put the Survival Knife in play, which isn't the worst idea. I'm going to get that clue when he dies. All right, let me do that. I'm going to pay 2 for the survival knife. The Acolyte of Hoth is attacking me. It's going to give me 1 har and 1 damage. I'm going to put the damage on the guard dog. The guard dog is going to retaliate because it's a triggered reaction ability. When an enemy attack deals damage to guard dog, deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. Fiercely loyal, these trained canines make for perfect companions. I agree. I have 1 more action. Gonna be taking another attack from this dude. I might actually just no, I'll keep the fine clothes for now, but I can always have that soak later. I mean, the gross thing about all this is just the timing, because ideally if I had survival knife out before, I could just try to find a way to do something else and then let it attack me, and then I could just kill it with 2 damage in the enemy phase, but obviously that didn't work out, so we're just going to have to do this the hard way. Or less. Oh, I could do that. Options. All right, I'm going to attack with the survival knife as my 3rd action. It's a 5 to a 3. There's 4 and then just +1. So the survival knife's interesting. It has 2 kinds of fights. The one is a normal fight ability, and then one's a reaction fight ability. And after an enemy deals damage to you during the enemy phase, so only during the enemy phase, you can exhaust it, and then you fight with +2 combat instead of +1, and it deals +1 damage. It's a really, really dynamic card. One of my favorite cards from the Forgotten Age. So I am going to attack with an attack of 5, and 5 to a 3. I get a skull. Skull is the number of ghoul enemies, so that is 1 at my location. So I succeed. I get a 2nd damage on this guy, and that is the end of my actions. Now in the enemy phase, there's no hunter keyword. He's already engaged with me, so he's gonna deal damage. And my options are: I just kill him automatically with the guard dog, or I take the damage here, save that passive damage from the guard dog, because I think it's going to be more important later, and then use the survival knife, which would allow me to kill him and get that clue. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put a har and a damage on Roland. These are always optional. These are reaction abilities, so I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to attack with a survival knife, and I'm attacking with a 6 to a 3. And that should do the trick, unless I pull the -4 or the tentacles. I pull the skull again, I swear. I'm dropping it. There was no hidden compartment in there. So I kill the Acolyte of Hoth. I get my special ability triggered for the first time this game, which I get my 3rd clue. And that is the end of the enemy phase. All right, upkeep phase, the survival knife readies. I draw a card. Daring, which is this is the only Dream Eaters card I think I have. It can be committed to a test only during an attack or an evasion, and the enemy gains retaliate and alert. And then after the test ends, you draw a card. It's a pretty cool card. I'm gonna take a resource, right? So 5 resources, which is nice. Mythos phase, you put the 3rd doom on the agenda. We grab the top encounter card. It is Obscuring Fog. That is fine. So Obscuring Fog, Revelation, attached to your location, limit 1 per location. Attached location gets +2 Shroud. After attached location is successfully investigated, it is discarded. But we won't be investigating because we're going to be going. We're going to the guest hall. And when we're in the guest hall, we will spend the 3 clues. This is it's not an action, just a triggered ability. And we're going to advance the act. Act 1B. The layout of your home is vastly different from its usual structure. Somehow your guest hall seems to have looped around on itself, and you are stuck with no way to enter the main lobby near the front of your house. Doesn't that suck? You notice that the wall between the guest bedroom and the bathroom is rotted and stained with what appears to be old blood. With no other way to proceed, you have no choice but to bust through the weak, rotted wall. Put the set-aside hole-in-the-wall location into play. So we have the hole in the wall. I need this, like I need a hole in my wall. I mean, come on, man, who wrote this? We choose an investigator in the guest hall to go to the hole in the wall. We reveal the hole in the wall. It is now the hallway. The walls of your house are splattered with mud, and your hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt path. So when this goes into play, there's a forced ability. You're going to put in the set-aside attic, parlor, and cellar. Now I have not randomized between these 2. So I have the original cellar and the old cellar and the new cellar. I don't know which is which. So I'm going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rolled a 2. So we're going to put the original cellar in play. We're going to do the same thing for the attic. And it does make for a pretty radically different experience in this scenario, which one it is. So that's a 4. So the attic is visible. Yeah, we're good. So all the locations are in play. Now, the investigator who just moved to the hallway must test for willpower. For every point the investigator fails by, he or she must discard a random card from your hand. I'm going to commit guts to this, which gives me a 5 to a 4. And hopefully I get lucky here. For each point the investigator fails by, you discard a random card. I already said that, and I like both of these cards a lot, so do not want to lose either. Give me a -1. Oh, Elder Sign. Woo! All right. Elder Sign does absolutely nothing when you're Roland, for the most part. I mean, it gives you +1 per clue on your location, but like, really, like the amount of times that matters is so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But that's fine. I'm happy to pull it. We're good. So Guts, since I succeeded at that test with Guts, I draw a card and I get my bead cop. Cool. So makes my guard dog a lot more expendable, especially since I'm doing okay with resources, but that can change in a blink with the Guardian class. All right, I have 2 more actions, believe it or not, because I moved. I spent the clues to advance. That told me to move here, and now we go. So let me actually read the text on Act 2, because I haven't read that yet. Act 2A, the barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your Paula. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. You need 3 clues to advance again. Man, so I have a bunch of good horror healer cards, and I just haven't seen any. I mean, I do have the soak for the fine clothes. I have a soak for the guard dog, so I'm just aware that my horror is not where I want it to be. I still have mysteries remain, so that's nice. I haven't lost that yet. With my 2 actions, I'm going to use the second action to go to the cellar. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is just drawing cards, because I need another weapon to go with my survival knife. But let's just hopefully that will come. All right, so I go to the cellar. It is the original cellar. After you enter the cellar, take a damage. And that is fine. Oh, I said earlier I wasn't going to trigger the guard dog, that I could choose it not to. I never actually dealt damage to the guard dog, so I couldn't have triggered it. I can only trigger the survivor knife because I took damage. Whether I take damage to the guard dog or Roland, I can trigger the survival knife. Just wanted to correct that real quick. Anyway, so I entered the cellar. I took that damage. It's a shroud value of 4, a clue value of 2, and it is a victory point. The text on the cellar says, the stairs leading down to your cellar are slick, and they glisten with a thin layer of ice. It's winter. Your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills you to the core. All right, so hopefully I get an enemy so I can get both of these clues, because that's going to be a pretty tall order. I am going to, with my last action, well, first, before I lose this card, I'm going to play Mysteries Remain. Fast, play only during your turn, and I can discover 1 clue at my location, and then I remove Mysteries Remain from the game. Thank you for your service. Bye-bye. I mean, it's really like just an awesome, like, what's the working a hunch? It's like a cheap, awesome working a hunch. It's a great, unique asset, a unique signature card. I like it a lot more than the guns, which are super expensive and not that useful. And also duplicative with a lot of the other Guardian cards. I have 1 more action, because that was fast, right? Because I moved to the guest hall. This was all fast. I moved to the cellar, so I have 1 more action. I'm going to draw a card and start digging for another weapon. Hopefully I get Take the Initiative, which actually could be useful to getting that last clue. All right, enemy phase, upkeep phase. I draw a card. It is Perception. Could also be useful in getting that last clue. And I take a resource. Mythos phase. We're putting the 4th Doom on the agenda. We're grabbing the top encounter card, and it is Rotting Remains. Oosh. Okay, I'm debating whether I want to use Take the Initiative or not. So Rotting Remains, a sickening display of gore causes you to retch. You're glad this wasn't you. Okay. I'm testing 3 willpower. So a 3 to a 3. I can't afford this horror. I mean, a -3 would just, I'd have to get rid of the fine clothes and be one away from death. So I am gonna, just learning what test you can afford to pull really bad on and what you can't. This is definitely one I can't afford to pull really bad on if I can help it. Obviously the tentacles still zero me out. But other than that, I mean, I'll take my 15 out of 16 odds. So I really wish I had another enemy. I have that card too that lets me search for an enemy. Like anything would be useful, but that's fine. So I'm doing a 6 to a 3, and hopefully we succeed at this. 6 to a 3. I pulled a +1. What a waste. So take the initiative is out, and rotting remains is out. Now, hopefully I can continue this streak of good fortune. I'm going to play perception. Gives me a 5 to a 4. There's no harm in failing other than just a waste of an action and a waste of a good skill card. So 5 to a 4. I'm like 9 out of 16 to win. I pulled a -2. Wow, I'm pulling bad. All right, so I'm gonna, with my second action, I'm gonna pull a card. It's If It Bleeds. My third action, I'm gonna pull a card, Hollowed Mirror. Yowza. Enemy phase, no enemies. Upkeep phase, I'm drawing a card. I'm taking a resource. Mythos phase. We are going to put a Doom on the agenda. Please give me an enemy. It's a ask and you shall receive. All right, so Grave Eater is in the house. Grave Eater is a humanoid, a monster, and a ghoul. Its position was a kind of crouch, and as one looked, one felt that at any moment it might drop its present prey and seek a juicier morsel. After the Gravedigger attacks you, you have to discard one card at random from your hand, so we're not going to be messing with that too much. But I just want to kill him. So I don't want him to attack and trigger the guard dog, because I don't want to have to discard a random card, because I really don't want to lose the beat cop, among other things. So I'm attacking with a 4 to a 2. It's a 4 because of the 4 plus for my base skill, my base stat, plus the 1 for the survival knife. Now I don't get the triggered ability from the enemy phase, and it only deals 1 damage, but it's still a nice little bump. So I'm doing a 5 to a 2. I pulled a 0. That would have been useful last round when I was trying to investigate this, but that's fine. Who's bitter? Not me. We're good. I'm doing a 5 to a 2 for the second damage. Hopefully you can finish this guy off. I pulled a -1. The Grave Eater is dead. That triggers Roland's super special ability. I'm going to get my clue. That's once a round. That's why I'm using that reminder token. And additionally, I'm going to play If It Bleeds for a resource. It's a small comfort, but you'll take it. Play fast. Play after you defeat a monster enemy. This is definitely a monster. Each investigator at your location heals horror equal to that enemy's horror value. His horror value is 1, so I heal 1 horror, and that is nice. And now with my last action, I will move to the hallway. All right, I definitely need another weapon. I'm not going to be able to take on the Ghoul Priest with just a survival knife. And crazy thing is I've not killed any of the ghouls that have victory points, which is also disappointing because I'd like to kill at least 2 when I play Return 2, but we just haven't. We frankly haven't seen. We've seen the Grave Eater, we've seen one of the acolytes of Hoth, and that's all we've gotten. All right. Enemy phase comes and goes. Upkeep phase, we're drawing a card. It is something worth fighting for. A great asset. It's a nice horror, so it could cost 3 though, and it's not the weapon I was hoping for. And we take a resource, which gets us up to 7. All right. Yeah. Mythos phase. We're putting the 6th Doom on the agenda. Ancient Evils would definitely cause us to advance, so hopefully we did not pull that. It is another Grave Eater. Yowza. Wondering about this gamble. Tempted to move to the attic. Because I'm moving to the attic, I can take the attack of opportunity, give him 1 damage with the guard dog, and I would have to discard a card from my hand, but it'd be really efficient, and then when I'm there, I'll be able to get a clue once he's dead. I think that's kind of a no-brainer right now. Ugh. I really don't want to lose the beat cop, especially without my stronger weapons. But it is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to move. Now before the move can happen, this dude attacks because I did not fight, evade, parlay, or resign. So he attacks me. What happens? I take a damage and a horror. I'm going to put the damage on the guard dog. I'm going to put the horror on Roland. Yeah, that's fine. I have to discard a card at random. I have 5 cards. I'm rolling a 6-sided dice. I roll number 2. I have to lose logical reasoning. Not great, not awful. But the guard dog retaliates because he's pissed, and he puts a damage on the Grave Eater. Now I can carry through the rest of my action, and I end up in the attic. It's the original attic. Tune in to solo playthroughs to watch a playthrough of Return to the Night of the Zealot, all the new locations, and see the 2 locations that you already knew about, which is cool. This has a shroud value of 1 and 2 clues. I am going to attack this jerk with my survival knife. I'm doing a 5 to a 2. Oh, after I enter, I take a horror. Ugh. I'm going to rip off my clothes, guys. It's happening. You know what? No, I can deal with it. I got a way to deal with it. All right, so I'm taking 3 horror now. There's nothing that makes you do direct horror either, so there's really no upside. This was from last round, so I haven't done that ability yet this round. There's really no upside in not just putting it on me right now. So I'm attacking with a 5 to a 2 with my second action. It's a skull. It's -1 because there's 1 ghoul. This dude is dead skis, and then I get a clue with my special ability. I have 1 more action still. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna put the Hollowed Mirror into play because I want to heal some of this horror. That's I could just put Something Worth Fighting For into play, to be honest with you. It's the same difference and it's more action efficient. But that's what I'm gonna do. All right, we're gonna put Something Worth Fighting For into play for 3. And that is all. Cool. So I do want to get that clue for the victory point, and then I'll come back to the hallway, and I could probably advance at the end of next round, as you'll see. All right. So those are 3 actions: enemy phase, upkeep phase. We're going to draw a card, Vicious Blow. We take a resource. Where is my enchanted blade? Mythos phase. We put the 7th Doom on the agenda. What does that do? It makes it advance. Where does it advance to? To Agenda 2B. All right, a feral beast, roughly humanoid with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul enemy is discarded. The lead investigator draws that enemy, and then I will put this here to remind me to actually talk about that. All right, so the cellar and the attic, while we're here, so there are 4 new locations when it comes to the cellar and the attic in the Return to. So if I had picked the other cellar instead of the original one, what would it have done? It would have had 1 clue on it and then told me to put another location in play, which is deep beneath your house. And the attic, again, similarly, it has another location which is far above your house. It's a pretty cool dynamic. I enjoyed it. It does put more of an emphasis on movement, so from an action efficiency standpoint, it can make it a little bit harder because you are spending actions moving that you otherwise wouldn't have to had you done what I did here and just pull the original 2 locations. We are discarding cards from the top of the deck until we see a ghoul. That is not a ghoul. That is a swarm of rats. This is a ghoul! Oh, and it's one with a victory point, and it's one of the new ones. I like it. Ghoul from the depths. It's a humanoid monster and a ghoul tearing its way out of the floor. Crazed beast emerges from the tunnels below. Its eyes are red with hunger and hate. It spawns in the bathroom. It's fine. Whatever. We're good with that. It went from the below your house to the 2nd floor bathroom, which is pretty magical. Or I guess, I don't know, this might all be on 1 floor. I never actually understood how my house is laid up. He's a victory point. He has a combat value of 3, a health of 4, and a evade value of 2. All right, Agenda 3A. They're getting out! You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing at everything in their way. Force at the end of the enemy phase. Each unengaged ghoul enemy moves 1 location towards the parlor, and also forced at the end of the round, placed 1 doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or the parlor. So the timing of that's important. So that's not the hunter ability. So hunter happens, attack happens, then that forced ability move happens if the enemy is unengaged. All right, so just important to know that because that's because I could be here, this can move, but it wouldn't attack me that round because again, it's not like a hunter ability. All right, what are we doing? I need to pull an encounter card still. Because, all right, dissonant voices. I cannot play assets or events. Still not an enemy. Which is fine. The shroud value here is only a 3. There's a 1, I mean. So it's a 3 to a 1. There are no penalties for failing this. I didn't want to play any assets this round. Anyway. Question is, am I going to want to advance? I need another weapon. I really need another weapon. I don't want to go into Ghoul Priest. And the nice thing is having the Dirge out of my deck, I know that that's not going to come up anytime soon, which is nice. So I'm doing a 3 to a 1. I'm pulling skulls like a madman. I wish I was playing as Jim Culver. I'm going to grab this clue. So that's a victory point. Whee! And then I'm going to move to the hallway. I have one more action, and I think I just dig through my deck. Dynamite Blast. Enchanted Blade, I think, would be ideal. Even the 41 automatic wouldn't be awful. So I'm going to draw a card with my third action. It's Dodge. Okay. Enemy phase. Enemy phase comes and goes. At the end of the enemy phase, this guy moves from the bathroom. He's done his business, and now he's going to go to the guest hall, which means he's 1 away from entering my locale. Next turn, I might go and try to kill him, but he's got 4 health. I can kill off the guard dog, which I want to do anyway, so I get the B cop out, get that +1 stat boost. That's fine. All right, upkeep phase. Draw a card. It's my Enchanted Blade, guys! I know you're excited. I am too. All right, we're going to end of the round. Dissonant Voices goes away. Mythos phase, or put 1 doom on the agenda, and we grab an encounter card. It is Rats. Stupid rats. All right, I can move. I can kill off the guard dog to move there. The problem is, if I get 2, he attacks. I can kill him in the enemy phase with my survival knife, prevent the doom mechanic from him being there, which gives me another turn to put out my Enchanted Blade and my Beat Cop, and then be ready for the Ghoul Priest. There's only 1 doom on the agenda. Why not? If I wasn't just trying to chase victory points here, I would have advanced the... well, I needed another weapon. Never mind. I know I need this Enchanted Blade in play. If I wasn't trying to chase victory points here, I would put the Enchanted Blade in play now, and I would let the Ghoul Priest come out. But in some ways, I'll get a little bit more margin for error by doing it this way. So... let's do this. I'm going to move. The rats attack my guard dog. Before I move, the guard dog retaliates, kills off the rats. And one of the reasons I feel comfortable doing this is because that's something worth fighting for. Really gives me some nice cushion. All right. So that is that. Oh, I never read the thing in the attic, by the way. The smell of rotten meat assaults your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs, and then the bloody carcass of a malformed beast swings from a meat hook chained to the ceiling. Blood drains slowly from the carcass, dripping into a small barrel. I mean, some of the stuff is so graphic. I mean, the range between how did you end up here and that is like so hilarious to me. Anyway, so I moved to the guest hall. The ghoul from the depths engages with me. Now he's got retaliate, right? So he's pretty gnarly if you don't succeed. He's got 4 health, so hopefully we can take care of him fairly quick. And I do have the ability to dodge 1 attack if I so need it. I have a decent amount of cushion on both horror and damage and sanity. So we are attacking a 5 to a 3. So I want to use the Vicious Blow. No, I won't. I'll get some more. I think it makes more sense to this. So the 5 to a 3, I pull the 0, so 1 damage. My next action is a 5 to a 3. This would be gross to fail this. 5 to a 3. I pull a -4. Wow, I'm pulling really bad. It's just so gross. You know what's also gross is I know that Chilling Cold's back in here. So he retaliates. I take a horror and I take a damage. That's 3 damage. And then in the enemy phase, he's going to give me another horror and another damage And then in the enemy phase, when an enemy attacks, they effectively exhaust. So retaliate's no longer in place. Even if I fail this, we're good. And then I'm going to retaliate with survival knife, and I'm going to commit vicious blow for 3 damage. So this is a 7 to a 3 because it's 4 plus 2 because I'm using the triggered ability on the survival knife plus the 1 from vicious blow. So hopefully, I think the last, was that the first time I pulled the tentacles in this game? So yeah, so vicious blow and me pulling tentacles is kind of like a match that happens an absurd amount of times. So I'm doing a 7 to a 3. It's a skull, so we succeed. There's a victory point on him. The ghoul from the depths goes up there in the victory display. Vicious blow is out, and we get the clue that's not on that location.
Eric is sympathizing with you though for the -4.
Yeah, that was really sick. But it really what it did is it made me spend my vicious blow now, which I was hoping to save it for the ghoul priest because it would be way stronger. But that's fine. This too shall pass, guys. We're actually still in a really good spot. So enemy phase is done. Upkeep phase. I'm going to ready my survival knife. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to take a resource. Mythos phase. We're putting 1 doom on the agenda. We're drawing the next encounter card. It is Chilled from Below. Test 3 willpower. For each one you fail by, you must discard a random card from your hand. I really don't want to fail this. I really don't want to lose my beat cup or my enchanted blade because both of them are awesome. Alright, I can make it a 5 to a 3 with unexpected courage. The question is whether I want to commit Hollowed Mirror or dodge. I want to keep dodge. I'm going to commit Hollowed Mirror because I'm not putting it into play. I don't have the resources for it. I have just enough resources for the beat cup and the enchanted blade. So we're doing a 6 to a 3. And I pulled the -4. Oh, that's really gross. Alright, I failed by 1 because I was at a 6 to a 3, -4. I go to a 2. I have to discard a random card from my hand. Oh man, the enchanted blade would be the worst. I mean, literally, I can deal with the beat cup. I wouldn't be happy, but the enchanted blade would be bad. So I'm rolling a 4-sided die. I rolled a 2. Beat cup. Oh, that's fine. This too shall pass. What is going on? I'm pulling. Really, I knew that +1 early on was a bad sign. Oh man. All right. So, what was that? That was the encounter phase. That was the Mythos phase. So I'm putting the enchanted blade into play. All right. I definitely have enough to do this. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to move to the hallway with my second action. Oh, the enchanted blade comes into play. So this is a really dynamic card. So it's fight. Again, it takes a arcane slot as well as a hand slot. It has 3 charges. Now, normally it has a +1 fight, just like the survival knife, but as an additional cost to initiate this ability, I may spend 1 charge to empower the blade. And if I do, I get +1 combat and I deal +1 damage. So that's really, really, really nice.
How many -4s are in the bag?
1. Yes, it's great. I have 1 more action with which I'm going to draw shortcut. Could be worse. The enemy phase comes and goes. Upkeep phase, we draw another. Oh, great. I get Unspeakable Oath, which is disgusting. So, Unspeakable Oath. How this works is, as I said earlier, I need to deal damage in excess of what is necessary to kill an enemy in order to discard it. Otherwise, I get 2 less experience, which is a little gross. But it was going to come up sooner or later. And we are going to take a resource. I have 5 resources, but honestly, not going to need any of them. End of the round. So for stability, we would add a doom for each ghoul enemy in the hallway of the parlor. There are none. I'm going to spend these 3 clues, and hopefully we can end this thing once and for all, which is going to be a little harder to do considering my card draws. But, man, I don't know. I really don't have much of a choice. So, 6. I mean, I'll have a 6 to a 4, pretty reg, and I think I pulled a -4 enough for the rest of my life. All right, using the barrel from the attic. I mean, you see that this beat cup would have been so that passive +1 just made me a 7 to a 4. It's just it's much. I mean, I still wanted to fix the -4, I guess. It just makes me feel better. All right, using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. Now the parlor says on it that the entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor, but now obviously this says we can. And you're unsure what would happen if you tried to cross the threshold of the strange barrier, but based on its extreme heat, you sure as hell don't want to try until now. And now we are in the parlor. Shroud value 2. It has a resign ability. This is too much for me. And then while Lita Chandler is not controlled by a player, she gains a parlay ability of test 4 intellect. If you succeed, take control of Lita Chandler. So we're going to put Miss Chandler, the zealot herself, in the parlor. And then we take the set-aside Ghoul Priest and we spawn him in the hallway where he engages with me. The Ghoul Priest. He is a humanoid, a monster, a ghoul, elite. He has 5 health per investigator. It has a combat of 4 and an agility of 4. He is a hunter and he has retaliate. His prey is the highest combat. A figure in red robes wearing a bone mask. It gibbers and snarls before leaping to attack. We're going to go to Act 3. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlor, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing toward you. If the Ghoul Priest is defeated, advance. Now, we advance the agenda. The timing is important here. It says when the round ends, so we actually advance the agenda after the round ended, so that doesn't trigger the forced ability on the agenda, which would add a doom for each ghoul enemy in the hallway. So we don't have to worry about that doom. We get to the Mythos phase, we do add that doom like normal, and we draw an encounter card. And what is it? It is a Grave Eater. Of course it is. All right, I am going to try to do 3 attacks with my Enchanted Blade, and hopefully put this Ghoul Priest out of his Ghoul Priest misery, and hopefully get rid of this Unspeakable Oath at the same time. I have Daring, which allows me to draw a card, so I should probably play this early and hope I get another combat icon, is what I probably should do. The other thing is if I get Dynamite Blast, I can actually take both those attacks of opportunity. No, I can't. I would actually die of damage instead of horror, which is bananas. All right, let me do this. I'm going to contribute. Oh, by the way, so I should talk about Lita. Lita. So she's pretty cool. Each investigator at your location gains a combat when somebody controls her, and then when an investigator at your location successfully attacks a monster enemy, that investigator deals +1 damage. So she's really dynamic. In a true solo game, it's really, you need to have like survival instinct. You need a card that allows you to even Mist of Early A, if you're a mystic, that's a good Forgotten Age card to be able to evade and move and then parlay and take control of her. When you're playing as like a monster killer, like most Guardians, you really just you wave at Lita and she yells at you because you knocked down her barrier, and you're just like, you can't really do much with her. But if you can get her, that +1 damage especially, I mean, the Ghoul Priest is a monster, the Grave Eater is a monster, that can really add up. All right, I digress. I am going to attack the Ghoul Priest with Daring, committed. I am empowering my blade, so I have a combat of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to a 4. We are 15 of 16 proof here. And if I succeed, I draw a card. Actually, after this, you draw a card either way. Yeah, so cool. 9 to a 4. And we pull the... Oh, why do I love this game so much? Wow. I pull the tentacles because that's what I do. This is where I like it, guys. My friends are laughing their butts off because they know this is how I roll. I guess the real question is, do I want to try to evade this jerk? I actually have 2 agility icons, but I want to use the dodge now, so never mind. That's not going to work. So I failed. That triggers a retaliate, which I'm going to play dodge, and I'm going to cancel that retaliate, and we're going to not get that damage or horror. This is ridiculous. I'm doing math. If they both attack me in the enemy phase, I can actually absorb all of it. If I fail another attack, though, I'm going to be SOL. Oh, man. So daring is done. He already had retaliate, so daring didn't really change anything because he was going to retaliate anyway. But it does allow me to draw a card, and I do get a combat icon, so that makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
Your fans want you to have a guest puller from the bag.
Do I want a guest puller from the bag? Oh, this is great. I mean, look, I'm just glad that the world sees it, because I said in my top 10, I pulled the tentacles more than anybody else I know, and I just don't like to be proven a liar. So, what are we doing? I don't know. All right, I'm going to power up my blade with my second action. I still got a shot at this. I'm going to be at +3, +2, +2. I need to win all three, otherwise that's it, I think. Or at least need to win the next two, otherwise that's it. So +3, I'm going to commit scene of the crime, gives me a combat icon. I'm doing, again, if the math is the same, 4, +2 because of Enchanted Blade, because I empowered it, +1 because of scene of the crime. And we're doing a 7 to a 4, +1, there, I haven't seen that since the beginning of the game. So we're putting 2 damage on the Ghoul Priest. Woo! All right. I'm going to power the blade again. I am at 6 to a 4. Oh, for the love of everything holy. Let's see what happens. 6 to a 4. Should win like 13 out of 16 times, I think. I pulled the cultist. -1. I did not fail. If I failed, I would have taken a horror. So 2 more damage. We get to the enemy phase. They attack in whatever order I want. So the... Oh, that's fine. So the Grave Eater is going to attack me. I'm going to take a damage and a horror. I'm going to rip my clothes off because I'm so upset about pulling the tentacles. Since he attacks me, I can discard a random card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 4 would be nice. 6. I get rid of that. So you're allowed to discard weaknesses or hidden cards if it is random, which is nice. But anyway, I'm hopefully going to do 2 damage now, so it's not going to be an issue. Right, now, the Ghoul Priest attacks me. He attacks me with 2 horror. So I'm going to assign 1 to something worth fighting for, which defeats that card. And then I put the other 1 on Roland, so he is 1 away from death. And the 2 damage is going to go on Roland. And now he's at 6. Okay, Ghoul Priest is exhausted, so Retaliate is off. I'm going to exhaust my survival knife. And I'm attacking with a 6 to a 4 for the win. And all the glory, kids. And we get a -1! Woo! So I do 2 more damage to the Ghoul Priest. He was only 1 away from death. He is gone. And that is that. The Ghoul Priest is defeated. We advance. It says, when the robed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. The lead investigator must decide. It was never much of a home. Burn it down, or this hell pit is my home. No way we are burning it down. I don't know. Who's got a preference here? Someone give me a shout out 30 seconds after I ask this question. I don't know. I normally don't let it be burned down, but obviously when you do that, you don't get access to Lita, whatever the heck her name is. You know, there's definitely for the sake of the channel, it's probably better to have Lita. And that's just kind of more thematic, I'm guessing. So I will choose R, whatever the heck that was. R1, let's burn down the home. I get 1 less experience, but I do take a mental trauma, which I don't love.
Oh, wait, we got some debate.
Roland? Oh, interesting. I don't know, man. Who else is in here? We got Eric. We got Bordy was there earlier. I'll let that be the deciding vote. I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with Kelly, man. I mean, especially because some crazy woman is like, I vote burn. Oh, well, all right, whatever. Kelly, you're the best. But I will burn it for the sake of the playthrough on this channel. I think having Lita could be more helpful to some of the viewers who have played this. So a lot of burners, man. You guys are freaking arsonists. But that is it. I guess I couldn't have scripted that better. That was ridiculous and fun. It's a fun true solo scenario. I really like it with the return to. Again, you definitely need someone that can do some damage though. I got so few enemies, and I guess the way I was pulling it was probably better. But there are, again, 3 more. I mean, the Icy Ghoul still in here. The Flesh Eater still in here. Those are the original 2 victory point ones. And then you have the Corpse Hungry Ghoul. He can be especially nasty because he spawns in the bedroom. And if you're in Agenda 3, he hunters into the guest hall. And then he will actually move into the hallway. So he can actually cause a doom to be added at the end of the round. The same round that he's drawn, which is really sick. And all of a sudden, that 10 doom threshold on Agenda 3, it starts to go with a quickness. But that is that. I think people can put in the comments what's going on, some preferences, but I'm probably gonna finish this campaign on my own, give a full report on my Patreon page, or next time I'll come out, tell people what happened. And then what I'll do is I will play with Zoe. And then I'll play with Mark in the finale, and I think we'll just get some more investigators on the channel this way. Roland's a good one, man. I mean, that 5 sanity is very limiting, especially if you're keeping Lita. You take that horror, you got a cushion of 4 for the rest of the campaign, which is really rough, especially in this third scenario. The third scenario can be really tight as it is. But that clue ability is really nice when it triggers, and it triggers a fair amount in the return to. So you just have more enemies that you're dealing with. As it is, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 XP. The end of the scenario, you're given 2 extra, and then you would get a third extra if you didn't decide to listen to a crazy woman that was in your parlor with a torch. But clearly that's what we want to do because it's fun. But thank you all for joining. Any questions, comments, epiphanies, put them in the comment section after this video is fully published and posted, which should be pretty soon after I stop this playthrough. And I will obviously get back to you all. Stay tuned. I'll probably get the next scenario up, a live playthrough. It'll probably be 4 weeks from now. I'll get scenario 2 up on the channel, and we'll go from there. Sunday I am posting a playthrough of Spirit Island, which will be the serpent slumbering beneath the island. The first time I really took a deep dive into him. What a cool spirit. Definitely underestimated him before I started playing for that playthrough. And then I have a Mage Night. I'm doing Volcaire's Quest on Legendary on the 16th.
When is Masks?
When is Masks will probably be 4 weeks, man. I'm thinking 4 weeks, because it'll probably be every other live playthrough. I'll throw up a Return to the Night of the Zealot and just kind of get through this campaign over the next 3 months that way. So I think it's a pretty good schedule for what I'm looking at with the channel for the next couple of months. But that is that. Thanks again for joining, and in the interim, till next time, happy gaming.